This is for Muthana Manawan. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, most high. And then, can you explain me more on the Genesis 1:26? If it is taken literally, it would mean that God is like human, but I don't. That kind of idea. I don't like that kind of idea. Some people do. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." And with blessing. Um, the traditional Jewish take on this is basically that not of course, like you said, that God isn't man, and there's no real comparison because man is a physical entity and God is a spiritual entity lacking any kind of physicality. I'm pretty sure that God-fearing Muslim people believe this also. We're not we didn't take to the concept that God could be a person. It's not a Jewish concept. However, what I take from this passage is let's make man in our image. Let's create a being where, unlike the animal, that really an animal is, if you think about it, it's more like an angel. An animal can't sin. An animal can't do right or wrong. An animal just acts off its instincts, whereas a human has an intellect and it has emotions and it's a much more complex creature than the animal. Humans can make art and literature and theater, and they can make philosophy and religion, and they can make all types of things. They can make government to govern themselves, and they can create beautiful things. Whereas animals are more simplistic by design, although they are very productive and very industrious. So you can learn if you could be industrious as the ant or the bee, it'd be amazing. But what I take is God. It says many times God became angry, or God was appeased by the words of Moses, our teacher, peace be on him, or when they did the sin of the golden calf, God was very angry, wanted to destroy. So just like God has the potential, as it were, to become angry, to become appeased, and to be kind, and to be harsh, and to be strict. Just all these potentials. So too does man have the potential to go from side to side, and to kind of oscillate from different emotional experiences, and it's in this way that we're kind of like God. Another way I heard that we're kind of like God is that we have the ability to procreate, but animals have this also. But the point that the person was making is that you have when you give birth to a son or a daughter, then when you hold that child, you really understand what a godly perspective is. This child is totally dependent on you for food, shelter, and clothing, for love, and to raise them properly. So too, we're dependent on God in the same way. And also another thing, it says God is obviously taking counsel, because it says let us make. So God is one entity, he's singular, he's not pluralistic, but he's taking counsel with some kind of a supernal court, or whatever it is, maybe certain higher level angels, and after our likeness. So and the verse continues, let him have dominion over certain things. So same too with God, and the higher angels, they have dominion over the lower angels. So too man has dominion over the lower parts of creation, the animal, the plant, and the mineral, that he's to rule over them. So it's just kind of this concept that God grants man rulership, and when a Jew sees like a leader of a great country, like a king or something, there's a certain blessing. He says that God bestows this leader kingship, and the concept is that the kingship comes from God, and if a man falls into kingship in this world, it's because God has granted him that gift, and hopefully use it for the best. So yeah, definitely not the concept here by other religions that God is a man and God could be a man. It says, the Rambam wrote clearly, "Ein lo demusaguf, ein lo guf." That God doesn't have a body, and he doesn't have a semblance even of a body. So it's not that; it's just that in certain attributes, certain ways, and this is all has to be understood. I mean, anytime you anthropomorphize, anytime you try to give God physical qualities or attributes, you're only doing it so you can understand God better. But the prophet is clear, my thoughts aren't your thoughts. Not one thought can grasp me, says God. We can't get an appreciation of what God is, or it's impossible, because we're finite beings and we're trying to grasp the infinite. So we can only try to dress God up, as it were, in physical manifestations of God is merciful, God is benevolent, God is kind. God, we can try to understand Him in human terms, but it doesn't make God human. It just makes our understanding of Him, we're able to relate to a certain level of understanding of Him. However, we have to be constantly aware of the fact that this does not change the infinite quality of God, which is why many people, Kabbalah lists 10 spheres, 10 kind of manifestations. Sphere could be like supernal type of existence, like a I don't know how to describe it. The sphere could be like a you know, like an attribute, let's say, an attribute of godliness, like chesed, kindness, gevura, severity, tiferes, like harmony or beauty. So these are types of manifestations, certain attributes of God. But like once you start, you can't stop because God has everything infinitely. So it's only sometimes when we look into the world and we look into the Torah and we see how God acted in a certain way, we can describe, compared to another way, this was benevolent, this was kind, this was merciful. However, compared to infinity, you can't really say any of these terms. None of these labels apply. So so that's a point that I think always has to be remembered, that God isn't a physical being, and He's not limited to the physical descriptions of Himself. He's infinite, and as such, his qualities are infinite. He contains every single quality in infinite. There was one time a high priest went into the temple and he prayed, may your attribute of kindness overcome your attribute of severity. Thank you so much, and God bless.